In this video, Dr. Steenbarger, the best trading coach in the US, challenges that trading greatness requires creativity. Hi, I'm Mike Bellafiore, co-founder of S&B Capital, a proprietary trading firm located in New York City, and the author of the trading classic, One Good Trade and the Playbook. Founded in 2005, S&B Capital trades stocks, options, futures, and crypto, both as discretionary and automated traders. S&B is so fortunate to work with Dr. Steenbarger, who helps and inspires our traders to grow. We hope you enjoy this special treat for the trading community of Dr. Steenbarger sharing his trading wisdom with all of us.
Creativity, which is looking at different things than other people and looking at the same things differently. I think in general, if you're looking at the same data as everyone, you're going to perform pretty much like they do. Everyone's got a chart in front of them. Everyone has certain information in front of them. I mean, really, are you going to be able to see patterns that the computers don't, that the quant analysts don't? I think that's unlikely. So what do you see? What do you utilize for your decision making that makes you unique, that makes you distinctive? And that's part of creativity. So you want to find unique information. And that's why quote unquote alternative data sets have become so popular in the trading world, because you can find new and different patterns. For instance, if I'm thinking about trading the stock of a company and I find out that the mentions on Twitter are going up in a certain way and certain topics on that company within Twitter are going up a certain way, that might tell me something about sentiment that would inform my decision making. I'm looking at data different from the usual.
If you want to learn 3 more real-world setups that our traders use, including the simple setup that we teach all of our new traders, and the setup that turned one of our traders into a 7-figure big money earner, check out the free webinar that we're currently running. Just go ahead and click the link that should be appearing now at the top right-hand corner of your screen. That will open up the free registration page in a new window, so don't worry, you won't lose this video. You can also visit tradingworkshop.com to register for this free intensive workshop. You're going to learn more in a couple of hours from this trading workshop than from years of online education.
My own background in trading, for what it's worth, is more quantitative. So I do look at historical patterns in markets. And when the market has done such and such a thing in the past, in similar market conditions, what has tended to happen? And I'll develop some ideas about that. There's a website that does a nice job of testing some of those historical patterns called marketcharts.com. It's a nice database. It's not as elaborate as what you would find at a quantitative trading firm, but they really look at a number of things in a detailed way. And you can see, okay, so when we have had a breakout on higher volume and now are making the highest day in the last 2 weeks, what has tended to happen in the past? And you can filter it for similar periods in history. So that is a different way of using data, and you can be pretty creative with that, actually. As I mentioned in my example, I tend to look at very high frequency data and then aggregate them over longer time frames. So for instance, I'll look at a statistic called the NYSE tick, the number of stocks in the whole NYSE universe that are trading on upticks versus the number trading on downticks. And that updates, how many times? At least 20 times a minute. So every few seconds, I'm finding out how many stocks are ticking up, how many are ticking down, and is that changing? And I follow it over time, and I can see the sentiment toward buying and selling changing on a very short-term basis, and that leads to some ideas. So again, the idea here is to find data, find information that makes sense to you, that plays to your strengths, that helps you see things differently from the average trader. That's the creativity part. And that itself takes some deliberate practice.
We've talked a lot, and we asked everyone here to do a lot of work. This is certainly a high output internship, not just from a trading perspective, but from you have to do a daily report card, you're supposed to do playbooks, you're supposed to do what are some of the other things that we ask you to do every day? Reading the tape. Yeah. So there are a handful of things we ask to do every day. You mentioned the deliberate practice part of it. How do you avoid doing more work just to do more work and make sure that you're using these as opportunities to find edge? Does that come back to the deliberate practice?
Yeah, it really does. And how many of the, all right, so if you're studying, reading the tape, how much of that are you concretely using to improve your trading? And so how much of it is filtering to your specific goals and plans? Yeah. So ideally, everything you're learning goes into that deliberate practice process. Yeah, because if you're just learning abstract things about markets that don't concretely impact your trading, I could teach you lesson after lesson about the history of the New York Stock Exchange. Well, no. So that's really the key in terms of a curriculum. Does it have a practical, specific benefit in terms of you developing your trading and practicing that?
And everybody should be thinking, when I sit down to do a playbook, is this something that makes sense to me, is going to be moving me forward as a playbook as a trader? And I'm sitting down to read tape, is this something that I'm just randomly watching feedback, or am I actually doing something that's important?
Great point. When you climb the ladder, make sure it's leaning up against the right building. A lot of people climbing ladders and going nowhere.
I had a question about bad habits. Like, what are some of the best practices to break them?
Best practices to break bad habits. A lot of times a bad habit will have a trigger, will have something that sets it off. If a bad habit, I talked with someone earlier today, and a bad habit was getting frustrated in their trading and making subsequent bad decisions. And so you want to identify what is setting off that bad habit. And then you can literally reprogram that. There are techniques in psychology, things I've written about on the Trader Feed blog and in my book, The Daily Trading Coach. We can actually rehearse those trigger situations in our head while keeping ourselves under control so that they no longer set us off. So if I imagine doing a visualization exercise day after day after day after day where I get stopped out. It becomes so familiar to me, and I'm rehearsing how I want to talk to myself about that. I internalize that, and then in real life, it's not going to set me off in that same way.
Hey, go ahead and click our subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos they're producing for you in the trading community. And please take the time to add your feedback in the comments section for what videos you'd like for us to produce next and what you found helpful from this video. From all of us at S&B, train and trade well.